is time to do the decent thing. It's time to do the best thing for Australia. It is time for Julia Gillard to resign, for the government to resign and call an election. Now, this has been said before in the days of Gough Whitlam back in the mid-70s, 1974, but it's even more appropriate today. She should go now and go decently. I've crossed the line a bit in the past 24 hours on this. The government is discredited, it is incompetent, it is divided, it is demoralised, it has lost judgment, it has lost any confidence in its own ability to govern. Everything it touches turns to dust. It's the reverse of the Midas touch. Everything turns to dust. Australia's being harmed. People are being harmed. After this High Court decision on asylum seekers in Malaysia, we are now a laughingstock in the region. Why should they take us seriously anymore? The government said its policy was legal and would work. It did that despite strong advice from its own departments. Its own department said it was potentially illegal and would not work. The government ignored the advice. Again, shades of the old Whitlam style, crash or crash through. It pushed ahead with the bluster and the nonsense, and it has failed. What it was trying to do in this deal with Malaysia was illegal and wrong. And everybody seemed to know that except this government. Boats will now queue up to bring illegal immigrants to Australia. People will suffer, and potentially, as they take risks, people will die. This is humiliating. It hurts Australia. It hurts people. The government must do the decent thing. Resign. As I said, I'm crossing the line. I haven't argued this before, but I think it's that bad. The carbon tax, the Timor solution that wasn't, this mess, the problems in manufacturing, problems in retailing, the inability to see that there is something wrong in the economy, the inability to lead, the grubbiness of the Craig Thompson affair, and all the evidence that we're heading into an economic slump, perhaps even another recession. Does anybody really trust this government to help the country through that? 96900 693 13 13 32 and the feedback, nmitchell@3rw.com.au. We'll set up a poll on our website. Simple question, should the government resign? Go to 3rw.com.au. Should the government resign? We'll take calls on it as well. Now, I know some people will just argue this is the ramblings of a right-wing commentator. That is not what it's about. That's not what I am. I've never gone this far before with any government. I'm not one of those frothing Sydney idiots. Even if you disagree with me, and many will, I'd ask that you at least look at my journalistic history and reputation and my record for independence. This is not a knee-jerk. This is a seriously considered position. Disagree with me by all means, but let's debate it. Don't just assume I haven't thought it through. Now, I'm not advocating a vote for Tony Abbott. I don't do that. In my years on radio, I've never told you how to vote, and I don't tell you now how to vote. But you should have a vote. And, of course, like many people, I've got reservations about Tony Abbott and his style. A lot of people have. If the government resigns, though, Julia Gillard, I don't think it'd lead them to an election. I think that a change would be forced. You'd have a new Labor leader which might offer some sort of alternative. I doubt it'd be enough, but it would change the landscape. I suspect Tony Abbott would win, and you can argue about that. Many will argue about that. But an election would either way get rid of this disastrous hung parliament with the independents and the Greens and the amount of power they've got. It would give a government, any government, a mandate. It would allow some leadership from either side. It would allow some stability, I'd hope. I'd rather see Simon Crean running a refreshed Labor government and allow this to continue. I don't do it lightly. I've only felt this way once before in more than 40 years in this business, and that was the last days of the Whitlam government. That was dragging Australia into a pit. 18% interest rates, 12% unemployment in those days, incompetence, dishonesty. What the Gillard government is doing is on a similar level because people are being hurt, confidence is being eroded, the economy is threatened, the government is stumbling around like a drunk in a laneway. People have lost any confidence in this government. This government has lost confidence in itself. I mean, look at the disgraceful behaviour over the Craig Thompson prostitutes business. There's developing a public aggression, which is potentially dangerous. The only answer is to go and go with dignity. It is the right thing to do. It is the decent thing to do. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying it should happen.